Okay, we're back. So we're talking about settling down. In young adulthood, we see an increase in commitment to both work and to relationships. Um, because young adults are starting to gain work experience across young adulthood, they often gain more control in their career and have more investment in their work. So I can choose more, I've got more seniority, I can do what I want, and I am investing more time. Um, when folks choose to, if they do choose to start a family, this requires and enables, in ways, more investment in those close relationships in order to partner to raise said kiddo. Um, so there is a lot that folks have to figure out in young adulthood in planning to marry or becoming a partner or spouse. Um, there's some of these models that we get from others that we know who are married, most closely from our experience with our folks. These may not always be good models. And so figuring out what it means to enter into this new role, both as an individual, but also as a partnership with your partner, is a process. And you guys have heard me say it before about other transitions, but even though um, becoming a partner or a spouse can be a joyous occasion, the transition is a difficult one. Um, we also see new divisions of finances, new choices about household labor. Both men and women tend to see increased investment in work and relationships during this time. So this may be part and parcel to some of the stress in this new role of partner or spouse, because it's also coming with investment in work. So some work has been done looking at stages that marriages often go through, um, and comparisons between married folks and non-married folks. So people who uh, get married are often happier throughout their lives than unmarried people. Um, there's some problems with that statement, however. So married people are often happier and healthier than unmarried people. Well, there's the marital selection effect, which is that if you are reg- uh, rather unhealthy, you're less likely to get married, right? It's one of the things that we often look for in terms of what we find attractive is healthiness. Um, there's also marital resources effects. So people are likely to be happier and healthier when they're in a partnership where they are sharing social and financial resources. And then the last one is the marital crisis effects. So people who are unmarried, um, often the studies comparing married folks and unmarried folks are not are also including widowed folks in or divorced folks in the unmarried category, in which case it is traumatic and can be quite painful for folks to become divorced or widowed, in which case they're likely to be less healthy than folks who are in happy marriages. Um, that said, the happiness and healthiness of the relationship matters more for lifetime health than whether or not you stay married. Also, there are studies that have suggested that marriage tends to benefit men's mental and physical health more than it does women's. So there's a couple different ways of thinking about parts of romantic love. We talk about passionate love. This is common early on in a relationship, intense emotions, sexual feelings, complete kind of absorption in the other. And then companionate love. which is more warm and trusting. This has both emotional intimacy and closeness, as well as commitment. So an intent to maintain the relationship even when difficult conversations come up, or when one or the other of you does something that hurts the other. It's the commitment to work it through. So some typical changes in marriages over time. In your first year, folks tend to be moving from play and companionship to more of a working partnership. So what had been courtship and more fun, um, passionate love a lot, you work into a routine of how you are going to make the main things that you need to do in life happen, right? Um, when children come into the picture, there's tons of new responsibilities that a couple needs to figure out how to handle. This often can bring up differences in terms of what you expected this new role will look like. Some of this may hinge on some of your gender norms, right? Or on patterns that you have learned from your family. Um, then also retirement. And this is real fun. We'll talk about this next week a little bit more. But we often see a renegotiation of roles and expectations when couples retire. So starting to refocus on what is it that makes me happy. We've made this kid thing work. If folks choose to have kids, we have made these careers work. Got to a plateau where we can have figured this out a little bit. Now, what do I want to do to make things enjoyable and to kind of um, share responsibilities in new ways? So again, that's a neat thing that we'll talk a little bit more when we talk about middle adulthood. Okay, so some new qualities of romantic relationships in young adulthood. There is much more emotional closeness. People share interests and visions for the future, and sexual intimacy. Again, folks who plan to marry often do it as young adults. Indeed, that commitment to a life partner is often part of what people uh, socially deem as entering young adulthood. Okay, so becoming parents, another aspect typically of young adulthood. Um, Obviously, when people become a parent varies within and between countries. So it is not necessarily in the young adulthood age group. Um, However, women's fertility tends to peak in the early 20s. So that is an interesting thing for a lot of Western societies where people are putting off parenting until later in life. Um, no matter when you choose to become a parent or when you become a parent, this becomes a central role in folks' lives. Often you ask um, parents of particularly young children who they are, and their parent role is one of the first things that they say. So becoming a parent often can affect the relationship with a romantic partner. Who changes diapers, how do you figure out how to potty train, how do you handle misbehavior. Again, we are trying to figure out this new role and division of responsibilities using different models that a couple may have about what this is supposed to look like. These models that we're working from may not always be healthy, so renegotiating that as you become parents together. Uh, there's some studies that suggest that romantic relationships are more egalitarian before there are children in the picture. So division of household labors are more equitable across partners before there are kiddos. Um, Parenting decisions are not easy to make and can be stressful. That sounds like an that's a dramatic underestimate right there. Um, uh, it is hard to figure out how to do this, and it is definitely raising a kid is a project that, in the best situations, both parents are deeply committed to. So these decisions or disagreements may be really tough. In general, folks report being happier in their marriage before they become parents. On the other hand, at best, this partnership to care for a offspring can enhance a couple's relationship as they're working on this project together and getting to enjoy all the blessings of the project. Um, One of the readings for this week kind of deals with this in a little bit more depth. Okay. Um, Becoming a parent may also change other social relationships. So, how you relate to other friends, friends who have kids, um, friends, or people tend to commiserate and need support from folks who are going through similar stages of parenting. So, this may be a shift in other social relationships. Also, becoming parents may change the definition of family. So, focusing on your spouse or partner and your kids as opposed to your family of origin or other definitions that you've previously had of what family might mean. Okay, again, changing definitions of family. Uh, as young adults begin to make their own families, their parents move into a different stage as well. So, parents of young adults become grandparents. Uh, This also may be a smooth or a stressful transition. So, how do you tell your folks? I love you tons, and it's great that you enjoy my kiddos, but I'm not going to bring them over here to visit anymore if you don't give them a nap. I need for you to give them a nap because it's hell when they come home if you don't. So you need to work with my schedule or we're not doing this, right? That's tough. Or it can be, depending on the relationship that a young adult has with their parents. So there's a transition to from young adults being the parents or the children of their parents as more primary um, to the parents of their own children, right? So and parents moving into grandparent relation or roles, which may be a new role for them as well. Okay, and we're going to stop there. We'll talk a little bit more about family and family and work when in the last uh, video.